Okay, Tanita here, educator for over 20 years, and you are catching up with where I catch up with my former students. And I am so excited about catching up with this particular student. She is so super amazing. When I met her, she was a ray of sunshine, like at 14. So I've been in her life for over 10 years and have watched her grow into this fantastic young lady. She was fantastic when I met her and when I left her, and she's still fantastic. Her name is Sona. She is a lover of STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, and math, and actually just finished her master's in computer science. And she's just rocking out. She's bad to the bone in STEM, and I like to call her a unicorn. So I am going to introduce and we're going to catch up with Sona. Don't forget to subscribe, like the channel. There's more to come. Sona!
Hello! Thank you for having me.
Yes, I miss you so much.
Miss you too. I can't wait to see you again. Hopefully you can make some time to come down to North Carolina.
No, that's my home state. It's amazing how I'm in your state,
Yep.
Illinois, and you're in my state, North Carolina, but we're going to soon I'm thinking about moving back. I am moving back, but
All right.
in due time, I'm really like this is where I want to be. I want to have my porch. I want my dogwood flowers, my dogwood trees, and I want to sip on some sweet tea sometimes.
Yeah, we have a little overhang at the front. We kind of have a little small table, drink our tea in the morning sometimes.
Oh
Say
my
hi to the
god.
neighbors.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Like yeah, chai tea, any type of hot tea. Oh, the birds.
That is your incentive in calling to come visit me because my grandmother makes excellent chai.
I'm gonna be front row and center, like, "We're having chai, we're having chai." Oh my
Hmm.
god, what do you have with chai? Do
Just
you
some
just
cookies, like tea cookies types of stuff.
mm,
Yeah, Indian snacks.
yes. Is she excited that you all are there?
Yeah, she's very happy that we're here.
Oh my god, I love it. Oh my goodness, I really have to, really catch up with your parents. That's one thing, you've been my student. I met you at 14, but we have really evolved, like, that's what I love about, your family. Like, I not only got to know you and, Ajay, I really got to know your parents too through being involved in your life and being a supplementary educator because I was in museum education and you were part of a program that we met through that was it was STEM enrichment, and you you were just going to go into STEM, and I just knew it, and you did.
Yes, and my parents even say that you've been like such a positive role model in my life because, I was this shy 14-year-old kid and then I ran into you and you helped me bring out the best of my personality and, you
Oh
know,
my god, you were shy.
I was shy. I was a shy little girl.
What?
Growing
I
up.
never knew. I was like, Sona, Sona. Really?
Yeah, I used to be very quiet.
What? And you were super shy.
Yeah, I used to be
Hmm.
kind of a shy person.
And now you're not.
No, I've become more extroverted over the years.
Oh my god, that is so fantastic. I'm like, you were shy. It was just probably me just yelling and Sona, what are we gonna do today? Maybe that was that.
Yeah, yeah. You really have the ability to bring out the best in people, and so
Wow.
that's just amazing.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? I'm just glad that y'all allowed me to be a part of your life, and you still do. And I really appreciate that. That just means the world to me. We're catching up today because the last time we caught up was, before you went off to grad school. Um, And it was just it was fantastic then, and we were talking about moves and all of this stuff, and then you just go off and you complete, as I knew you was. And now we're here. So,
Yes.
yeah, I know. So I just so we can just set the stage,
Mhm.
I wanna just say that I've learned so much from you,
Aw.
just observing you grow. And, I have some takeaways from my relationship with you. And then I want to know, like, what are some of your takeaways from me as just
Yes.
our relationship? For I would like to call it educator to student, but it's more of like mentor, mentor educator to student, or like it kind of evolved more than that.
Yeah, it did, for sure.
Yeah.
It was more like, I guess, kind of student to teacher to, like, kind of being each other's role models in a sense, I think.
Yeah, you are my role model. I love it, Sona. Oh my god. So, I'll give you one takeaway.
Okay.
Like, you just never stop smiling. Just never stop, um, being joyful. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, we could talk about your academic and, being so super smart and just consistent and persistent. Even as a teenager, that was very impressive. But something else, I could talk about that all day long, but something that I know people don't have is the joy and the genuine kindness that you bring, that you're kind to everyone. You were so kind to your peers, and people knew that about you.
Mm.
And when they approached you, they approached you with care, because they didn't wanna disappoint or take they wanted that sunshine to continue to beam, and that's what I know from just being around you is, keep the sunshine going. Like, it's just very good being around pleasant people. And you are just so pleasant, and you still are. And that's one takeaway. There's a few takeaways that I've taken from that. And I'm just like, this is just a reminder to always be present with that. Like, who wants to be around a Debbie Downer?
Yeah, I know, it kinda drains all the energy out of the room.
Tell me about it. It does. And I don't
Yeah.
want to be around that. Ugh,
Yeah.
oh my God. So tell me, what are some things that you think from our interactions that are, just like a takeaway that you and I from our relationship?
I like the thing I really liked what we did at the museum was, like, the people have, like, good news or what good news you have this week. That was fantastic. Yeah, so I think that really helped, bring a very positive energy into the morning, and throughout the day too, and everybody celebrating each other. So I think that's like a great community that you have brought, and just whatever you're passionate about, whatever gets you excited, attack it 100%. That's what I've learned from you, and there are things that I never imagined myself doing when I was very scared to do them. But there was also like a piece of advice I heard from the museum too, which was like if something's telling you to do something, like go do it.
Do
Yes, like I remember
it.
just first time I heard about this opportunity to study abroad and work abroad, I was like so intimidated. But then something told me to just do it, and so I did it.
Yes.
Same thing with my master's, when I was younger, the word coding used to like make me want to cry, but now I have my master's, and something told me to go do it, so I went and did it.
Wow, let's tap into a few of those pieces. What were you scared of, and like how did you overcome it?
So I think like I was scared of coding, like it's because I wasn't like naturally good at it. I think like I was always the one like the class always having problems, raising my hand, like something's always going wrong, and everyone else seemed to get it.
Mhm.
Um, But then eventually, I really learned that I could do this. I, in college and I was pursuing my engineering career, starting that. I just had to face the fact that I had to take coding courses. But then I ended up enjoying it more in college than I did in high school. So that really helped. Maybe the languages I were using on college was
Yes.
also much, much better.
What are the
Um,
languages that what are the languages?
in high school, I used something called True Basic, which was
Mhm.
truly complicated. So that wasn't as good. But in college, I used, I think I started out with C, and C wasn't super
Mm.
bad at all. And also MATLAB. MATLAB is the language that more engineers use. And I was like, okay, I kind of like it. That's something I can do. And then, as I use it more and more, I even had an entire internship abroad where I had to code. Basically, it was like a coding type of internship. And I was like, okay, I can see myself doing this. And then I, went on and pursued more projects using coding and I guess kind of optimizing different business processes. And I was like, I kind of like this, so I decided to go for it in terms of my master's degree during COVID and, even coming out of COVID. I
Yeah.
graduated in December of 2022. And so, yeah, I just kind of went for it. Yeah, I think part of, I'm going to even tell you a story kind of, isn't rambling on you.
Yeah.
Back when I was a little girl, I was maybe 4 or 5 years old. My dad told me I was a math queen, and he gave me that kind of inspiration because he saw me struggle with math in the sense that I could solve the problems, but I wasn't very fast. And my brother would always be like, "Zhu, zhu, zhu, answer." And I kind of got discouraged. And so he called me the math queen. And that gave me a lot of confidence. So I guess an important takeaway is, I guess, for especially young women, be sure to encourage them
Mhm.
because sometimes it's just so easy to compare against other people and get discouraged. And two, just inspire them to be persistent. You might not get it today, but you're going to get it tomorrow if you keep trying.
That is so true. And you are a math queen.
Thank you.
Well, you know what, Sona? That's what I admire about you is your persistency to continue to try.
Yes.
And we don't know everything. And sometimes you don't have to be like the first person with the answer. As long
Yeah.
as you get to the answer. It's not a it's not a race, it's a marathon.
100% true. Yes.
Right. And then, through the mistakes, or people like to say failures, and I don't really like to say the failures, but through the stumbling blocks that you come upon, it helps you get better and navigate and do things a little bit better because every time you stumble, you learn something and you gain something. And it's like, okay, I can't do that, but I need to try this. And that's what I love about you is the persistency.
Yeah. My dad even said this quote, like, use your stumbling blocks as your stepping stones.
What? I love him. Oh my god. I love it. So he says stumbling blocks too. Nice. Oh my goodness. I mean, how did you feel? How many girls were in your undergrad program in engineering?
Let me see. I think in my major, it was about 60% men and 40% women. So it was a decent breakdown. There were some engineering majors that were actually more women than men, like more of the sciencey ones, it's like
Oh,
chemical. I don't know about
nice.
chemical, but at least like biological engineering and environmental engineering, I think had more women.
That is very
So
cool.
and Purdue too. They had the first women in engineering program. So boiler
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. And then, you just decided to travel abroad,
Yes, I did.
and that's what I love about you too. You are someone that you are going to explore.
Yes.
And you were there for a while because I
Mhm.
was looking on your Instagram and I was like, "Wow, this sculpture is cool." Sona's still there. and loved every bit of your journey just looking through your pictures. So tell us about you traveling abroad for school.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very, very fun. I got to meet all kinds of different people. I still keep in touch with a few of them. I think like a couple of different things that were, a little bit scary was I'm vegetarian, of course, so
Are you
um
vegan or vegetarian?
I'm okay. I'm very close to being vegan.
Yeah, vegan is hard though.
Yeah, it can be. Like I you can see from my handle that I love feta cheese, so
Listen, you give me some feta. Hmm, I love feta.
yeah, that's another incentive for you to come over
Yes.
because
If
we're
there's
gonna
some beef
do
feta, oh
that.
my god, yeah. Oh my god, are y'all gonna make dal for me? Like
Yes, if you come over.
yes, okay, we'll have to
You
have dal, we'll have to
chai, feta cheese, all the
yes.
goods, all
Oh
the
my
goods.
god. Okay, 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 okay.
Yeah, so I try
So,
not to China, but
you travel abroad to China for
yes.
school, and
Mhm.
yeah, how was that? Like, how did you feel about it? What were some of your experiences, and, like, what did you gain going to travel to China for school?
Yeah, I think I was tossed into a lot of, like, unfamiliar situations, so I think one of the things was having to apply for visas and such, so
Mhm.
the way the visa process worked was, like, once you got to China, you had to apply for a residence visa or I guess it's or stay long-term type of visa, and you had 30 days to do that after you entered the country. And so trying to figure out that process was a little bit tricky, and sometimes the rules tend to change quite a bit from in short periods of time, and so that was a tricky thing. And then afterwards, when I was about to go for my internship, I had to also get a work type visa, and so trying to get all the documents for that was tricky because I had to contact my, prospective employer and be like, hey, I need this form to apply for my visa. And they're like, okay, we'll get to you ASAP, ASAP, ASAP. And I'm like, still not getting anything. And then I had to even contact my, I guess I'd call them my study abroad coordinator
Mhm.
back at Purdue and be like, hey, I'm not getting the necessary forms. And I know I needed to get my work visa for my internship. What do I do? And luckily he was able to help me out and really kind of get all of us in contact, like the company, him, I, and make sure we got this process done. So definitely lesson learned there is like again with the whole persistence thing, like never give up. Always try to seek out people that can help you in
Mm.
those types of difficult situations. In terms of more of the schooling part, I think it was interesting in the sense that I kind of had my education in more two different modules while I was there. The first one was in January, so it was more about the kind of Chinese culture and such like that. And that was during when I guess, the regular um, SJTU, which is short for Shanghai Jiao Tong University, that was my host university. That's when they had their break. So we had two students kind of help us out with regards to kind of understanding more of the culture and also getting us adjusted to life in China, such as getting us a bank card, getting us a cell phone number, all that kind of stuff. So that was super helpful.
Mhm.
And then second part, which is like maybe more around 3 months, is more of the engineering type classes. So that was kind of cool. Got to explore two different campuses at the university, so that was really fun. And more of the second half was getting to engage with other students from other universities. So that was a really cool part of it too. Getting to also get to know more of the local students at the university as well was really fun. I also met one of my best friends that way, and I recently got to visit him in Tampa a few months ago. So that was really fun, and just getting be able to getting to explore again. Like Shanghai has diversity of like skyscrapers, city stuff to do, but also the local shops and nature. Yeah, it was just really really a fun experience.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So you got culture,
Hmm.
the building blocks to education, and you were able to just explore
Mhm.
first. Um, what is something that you learned there that you're kinda, like, incorporating now in your adult life? Is there anything?
I think it's more kind of similar along the similar lines of what I've kind of learned in the past, kind of looking back on it, but I definitely think like knowing that I could get through, China made me really kind of be sure of myself and be like, yes, I can get through anything.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of what I took away from my experience there. And I think I
Mhm.
forgot to mention the previous question because you were talking about vegetarianism. I just wanted to toss it back to that because I realized I left something out there. Um,
Yeah, do
but
it.
but so yeah, because that could be tricky, navigating dietary restrictions in a country that you haven't been to before, not as familiar with. Luckily, I did know some Chinese, so that helped also. But
Yes.
a lot of key things is like the temples there are Buddhist, so that's where you could get vegetarian food. Another helpful thing is that I had I guess, kind of through mutual friends, met this person who was vegan and living in Shanghai. So we connected. We were able to meet up quite a few times. And he also got me into some like vegan WeChat groups. So that was super duper helpful. And then when I had my internship, I was able to get my own apartment and cook for myself. So that was very helpful.
Wow, Sona, so you were in the grocery stores and you were just there. And you were there for
Yes.
8 months.
Mhm. Yes.
That's nice.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. How was the weather? You always gotta ask the trouble, how was the weather?
Yes. Yeah, that's true. I think when I was first there, it was a little bit chilly, but not as chilly as the US or
Mm.
where I was going to school, Purdue, especially because y'all had the polar vortex during that time. And I was like, oh, I feel so bad. Maybe I could give you some of my Shanghai weather.
Listen, the polar vortex can go somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, but overall the weather was very pleasant. Maybe towards like July, August, it got a little bit hot, but otherwise the weather was very pleasant there. But
Nice.
it was funny. I learned that I have to coordinate my travel a little bit better in terms of where I'm going with regards to the weather because um we had I think about 2 weeks off for Chinese New Year, and I planned my trip to go to Hong Kong to like, visit a friend of mine, and then to Beijing. Well, Hong Kong was like 80 degrees, and Beijing had to wear winter coats.
Oh my
I was
god.
I was like wearing my winter coat in Hong Kong when I was first getting there, and I was like sweating.
Oh my goodness. Wow, Sona. That's wow. And you wouldn't think that it would be that drastic, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah, I had just got back from Singapore, and to be honest with you, I'm like, I thought I knew my geography, and then when I took a look, I was like, "Oh my god, Singapore is near Australia." And I'm just like,
Hmm.
and then when you're on the plane and you pass over and they're like, "This is the Marina Trench," and you're like, "What? I'm passing over the Marina Trench? Like, what's happening?" So, it's just yeah, it's a whole totally different world, but it's always good to travel and experience, different cultures and different countries and different weather. I really did enjoy the weather over in Singapore. A lot of people were like, "Oh, it's so hot," but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the humidity. I was just like, my skin is going to be glowing when I get back. I'm trying to gear up for this winter in Chicago.
Oh my goodness, but I'm not as big a fan of the humidity because my hair, I don't know. I feel like I can't stand more than 10 minutes outside. My hair turns into a frizz bomb.
Yes, because you do have, like, really, really nice, thick hair is so, like, thick and curly. I love it.
Thank you. I meant to ask how your trip was in Singapore, I guess work. Were you there more for work?
Yeah, I was there for more for work. I wasn't really able to I really wish I was able to kinda really engulf myself in the culture, but I was really there more for work. Hopefully, I can get back and do more personal things. But I was able to go to the gardens, their famous gardens, and yes, and of course, me being a foodie, I did all things food. Um, I had some of the best sushi of my life.
Oh, wow.
Some of the best sushi, and I was there by myself, and I ordered, like I shouldn't say this, but I ordered, like, 4 rolls, and, the waitress was like, you're not gonna be able to eat all of that," and I'm like, "Watch me, I'm American." I was like, "Watch me, I'm American," and so, I sat there, it was just so good, I could not. I had, like, hot green tea,
Mhm.
um then on my way out, the, gentlemen that do the sushi, the chefs, they were cutting up a big old tuna. It was like 3 of them actually, like, maneuvering the tuna. The tuna was that big,
Wow.
and so that was pretty fantastic. I had, crab there.
Mhm.
I checked out some Indian cuisine there.
Ooh.
Very delicious. And what else did I eat? Oh my god, I did Korean barbecue. I was like, "I can't live here." I would be just, like, eating so much, but it was fantastic. I mean, of course, people talk about how clean the city is, and it's
Mhm.
true, very polite and nice, um, and I really, really enjoyed the people,
That's
and
awesome.
yes, very, very cool, and I went to the grocery stores a few times so that I can
Mhm.
get fresh fruits, and I was just amazed at how juicy the apples were.
Oh, wow. I love
Ye
apples.
Yes. I got a chance when I traveled to St. Lucia, I got a chance to have the apples. I did an ATV excursion, and the tour guide stopped. We actually went through, like, some farmland. The tour was, like, 3 or 4 hours, and we
Wow.
were on the road. We went into farmland, we went, like, neighborhoods. It was like one of my best excursions somewhere, and we stopped at a residence, and he said that the owner didn't mind him taking the apples, and the apple was almost translucent. I was like, "What
Wait,
is"
really?
Yes. We bit the apple and juice just went everywhere, and I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"This is an apple?" And he's
Apple
like,
shower.
"It was the best apple I've ever had in my life," and I'm like the food there was fantastic too, but, truly enjoyed Singapore. It's a very long trek.
Mm.
Was on Singapore Airlines. I will say hands down, they are top tier.
Wow, okay, give my brother to know.
They are so hospitable. I'm a new mom, and so I had to pump, but they were like, "Yeah, we'll freeze your milk, we'll
Oh,
freeze."
that's so sweet. That's
So
awesome. Oh, you need all the support you can get as a mom, especially a new mother.
and during the flight, they gave me a little, gift to give to Naima, and I
Oh.
said, "Oh my goodness, you're so sweet," and I think they just laughed at me because I'm just like, "Thank you so much," and they're just like, "Oh, you don't have to thank," and I'm like, "I do because it's very important that I do that because you didn't have to go above and beyond for me to do that," but I was very appreciative, but Singapore Airlines is top tier.
Mm, good to know.
Yeah. When you're coming back, the way that their system is at their airport, I'm like, "Can we adopt some of this system?"
Yeah, yeah. Some of the airlines need to do a little bit better with regards to that.
Yeah, but they are very on top of it, very hospitable.
Mhm.
I can't say it was great. It was a great flight. It was a great flight, Singapore Airlines. So, Singapore Airlines, we love you.
Imagine
So,
if you brought them on here as a sponsor one of these days.
right, right. It's just and let me just say this, the flight attendants, beautiful. Like, the outfits, gorgeous. They had their traditional outfit, and I'm just like, "Can I just say that y'all are beautiful?" And they just snickered, and I'm like, "No, y'all are beautiful." So, just very, like, such a great experience on Singapore Airlines.
That's wonderful.
Hopefully, if I go back, I can go over to Indonesia, and then I can go and hopefully get into China and then India. I want to do all of those things while I'm in that part. I don't know if I can do all of that. That'll probably be like travel overload, but I want to because I'm so close to, you know, I'm so close. I'm so close in that region. It's like once you go over, you have to stay for like a month or so and just do all the traveling that you can.
Yeah, I know. You know how when you eat, it's like your eyes are bigger than your stomach? I feel like the similar thing with regards to travel. It's like your heart is bigger than your body.
It really is.
Stronger.
It really is. So maybe next time I would go over to Indonesia, Bali. I want to get to India and I do want to see China. I do. So there are a lot of stops I want to make. And I didn't know that from like Japan was a 6-hour flight from Singapore. So it's pretty.
Yeah, my brother was there. I think if you want to talk to him about his experience, he would love
Let
to
me
share
tell
it.
you, he has the travel bug.
Yes, he
Yeah.
does.
We talked about that. Getting into your brother. You are a fraternal twin.
Yes, I am. And born 2 months early.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. So the funny
Yes.
thing, the funny thing is my brother and I were born on the day my cousin was supposed to be born.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. But I guess the positive side of that is that my mom is also born in January, so like she could pass on all her birthstone rings to me. So
Yes. Oh my goodness. So y'all were born at 7 months
yep.
and some change. Okay. Oh wow. Well, it's 2 of you,
Mhm.
and it's so unique. You both are unique in your own ways and your own people,
Yeah,
and
very much so.
I have such a great relationship with both of you, and I have takeaways from both of you that are different.
Mhm.
I hope that I've captured where I'm not comparing one to the other. I was very cognizant of that, knowing that you're twins.
Mhm.
But the 2 of you are a dynamic duo.
Yeah, we are.
And so talking about your fraternal twin, how do you both show up for each other now that you're adulting? And I think he's in DC and you're in NC. So how do you both keep in contact and keep your relationship going?
Um, that's a good question. Because yeah, I think we definitely don't like talk like all the time, but we're still like whenever we get on the phone with each other, it's always like our long talks and such like that. Like
Yeah.
I think last time I got to spend a lot of time over the phone with him, I was actually in the car from NC to Chicago. I can tell you a little bit about that trip too.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
because I was back in Chicago for a little bit. But yeah, he was all excited because I was talking about my trip up to Wisconsin and seeing some of my friends that were in my China cohort. So
Mm.
and then he was talking about kind of his life and all that kind of jazz. But I don't want to tell too much in case you want to talk with him and everything.
Oh,
But
we've already talked,
we've
Sona.
already talked. Okay.
We've already talked.
Oh, you have. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh, maybe you did tell
we've
me,
already
but
caught up. I'm gonna have to catch back up with him because He told me some really cool things. So,
Yes, yes, I bet
um,
he did.
he told me that he had a significant other.
Yes, I met her and she is so sweet.
Okay, I was like, "I know that you would love her." She seemed really sweet from the pictures. I was just like,
Yes.
"Oh my god, you have a significant other, I love it." And, yeah, he has such a good view from his apartment in DC.
Oh, yeah, it's really pretty.
Yeah, and he did say that the family wanted to meet her, so how was it?
Oh, it was very awesome. We went out for I think it's Laotian food. Yes, it was
Mm,
very delicious, and she was kind of, very sweet, mild-mannered, very nice. Like, even though she had, like, kind of a milder personality, she was also, like, good at, like, having being involved in the conversation too, so I
yeah,
really
that's
like that.
important.
Yeah.
That is important that
Mhm.
you you stay involved in a conversation. You're
Mhm.
actively listening and you're actively responding when you need to. I think that's a lost art. But because of
Yes.
your healthy family dynamics, the way you come together to eat and talk and I mean, it makes you a dynamic person. And so talking about that, your healthy family dynamics, um, has it has it always been that way? I mean, it seems to me that it has. Your parents have always fostered a good dialogue between you and your brother and them. I love that about your family.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because I think like we have dinner together like all the time, growing up. And there's an interesting statistic that like, families that have dinner together, I think they tend to be healthier and the kids tend to get into less trouble, all of that kind of stuff. So I think that's a very important like one thing you can do is just always have dinner with your family. And
Mhm,
as with every family, sometimes there is conflict. So but, we take that in a healthy way. We talk things out. Sometimes, my dad and I will go out for walks and even, just to talk about, how, life is going and, everything like that. So that's been really nice. And I actually work for him now. So,
he was
so
just
talk about
gearing
training
you
too.
up. He's like, "I'm gearing her up so she can work for me."
Yes. Yes. He'll admit to it too, I bet. Well,
Donna, you make such a good point.
mhm.
There is sometimes conflict. Everything is not roses, and
Yes.
as parents, sometimes they will have to say things that you may not like, but
Hmm.
it's how you handle it and it's how you approach it that kinda gets you over. And you're right, you do have to settle those things in a healthy way.
Hmm.
And that's what I love best about your family. It kinda reminds me of mine where when we have the chance to get together and sit, we're gonna sit and talk, and you learn so much at dinner. You learn so much when you're eating because it's
Yeah.
like, "I didn't know that happened. Tell me more. What did you do again? Oh my goodness, where was this?" So you kinda
Yes.
get to understand and kinda dive into things that are happening within the family members. So I do
Yeah,
like
I
that, and I do
agree.
like having lunch with you all, and we do it family style because that's the only style that I know how to do.
I
Let's
like
just
that.
order a bunch of dishes and
Mhm.
let's just all kinda eat off the dishes. I love that.
Yeah, what's I always do, everybody, like, even when I got my friends, if, they're ordering something that's vegetarian, and then, like, always offer to share with them and stuff like that, and even have friends too that will only order vegetarian when I'm around, and I think that's, like, a huge amount of respect from
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's really nice of them.
Yes, I don't have to eat meat with every meal. And
Mhm.
so to me, sometimes it's like it's a good reprieve. So I'm eating whatever, whether it's vegan or vegetarian, I love it, especially
Mhm.
vegetables. Like, I'm a person, if I'm eating vegan, I don't necessarily need like the fake chicken, the fake, no, just give me some good veggies and I'm there. I'm there. And I don't mind it at all. I think it's very awesome. And I don't have to always have meat. It's not a big
Yeah.
not a big thing in my life, like, I have to have it every meal.
Yeah, I think that's a critique that I have of, I don't know if I want to call it a vegan movement per se, or what people assume to be that. It's like you don't have to think about it as like, okay, I have this beef. What can I make vegan to replace this? And then it's too much like, what can you know?
It's like, do you're vegan, do vegetables, do fruits, like, do beans. Like,
Yeah,
when I'm doing vegan, I want that. I don't want anything. I don't want this. I don't, am I saying it right? Satan.
I think it's
I don't
seitan. Yeah,
I don't
not
want
sure.
any of those things.
Mhm.
I want beans, I want veggies, I want fruits. I want those good things. Look at me.
Yeah.
I want. I sound like a toddler.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
don't
we however,
Yeah, you have to replace the meat, like, the other stuff is good by itself. They're like,
Yeah.
vegetables can be the main character too, right?
Yeah, it should be the focus of just making like healthy, delicious food as opposed to what to replace with what. And even these athletes now are becoming vegan and doing, really, really well. So,
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think it's what works for you, and then,
mhm.
we're just all trying to live a little longer.
Yeah.
We're just all trying to live out here. We just trying to live a little good life.
Did I tell you my goal?
Yeah, tell me.
Okay, so my goal is to have lived in 3 centuries.
Oh my god, Sona. Okay, so you lived in okay, so you're 2000.
I was born in '98.
Oh my god, 98. Look at me. So
I know
we
I look younger than I actually am, but it
Oh my
might
god,
benefit
you were
me
born in
later.
98.
Yes.
98, 2000. Okay, Sona. Are we gonna do it? We probably can. You can be a centaur.
Alright, let me be a centaur centurion.
Centurion, yes. I think we can do it.
Yes.
And then you'll have to tell all the great stories.
Yes.
You will. So I'll tell you a quick story. My grandmother was born in 1908.
Mhm.
And so I was born in the 70s. And
Mhm.
so what ended up happening is when I was growing up, she would tell me these stories. And now, as I gotten older and I started piecing them together in high school, I said, "Oh my god, my grandmother was talking about the Great Depression, or she was talking about the '40s, or she was talking about the '60s, and she was talking about 1918, or it's just amazing how I can date her stories back to the different decades." And such a great storyteller and such a great historian, I think. And now I tap into my uncle. He's turning 80 this coming up year, and he's like the keeper of the stories. So when I go back, I go, okay, I need at least two stories. Tell me two stories that I don't know. I need at least two more stories. So yeah, being a centurion, is that the word centurion?
I think so.
I think whatever. If it's not, we just made it a word.
Yeah.
Centurion. I think that would be yeah, that'd be great. That's a great goal. That's a great
Yeah. And it's so cool to learn from all the other stories. Like I'm always asking my grandfather. He's 94.
Oh, you're gonna do it then.
Yeah, I already have the genes.
Jeans.
I have, I think, a great aunt that made it to 101. So
Wow.
yeah, she's passed now, but yeah, she made it to 101. So I have the genes, and
Was she in
I think.
Italy or India?
So I think she was born in Italy, but she moved to the States.
Wow.
hmm I don't know when though, but yeah, but she did move over to the States at some point. I think she was pretty young, like maybe a childhood or early 20s at the latest, I want to say. But yeah.
And I wonder, did she eat what was customary to her growing up? And she kept that eating like the things that she ate. constant throughout her life? I wonder.
Um, I would think so. I mean, I don't think I've met up with her enough times to know that, but the thing that we did do with her quite a bit was write letters. So we used to like write letters to her at least like once a year as a kid, and then she would, send us happy birthday cards and such. So,
Oh my god, Sona the Centurion. Oh my god! Well, I won't be here. Oh my
oh,
goodness. But I'm gonna be looking and I'm gonna be like, Sona is she did it. You'll know. I'll send you a message.
yeah. So you showed me a sign.
Yeah, I'll show you a sign somewhere like you did it. Oh my goodness, you will be able to do that.
Yes, that would be very exciting. Of course, I want to be able to like know that I did that too, and not be. But I'm gonna think positive vibes.
Yeah, totally.
think positive
And
vibes. Keep myself
you
healthy.
know, we leave a mark on our family. So definitely they will definitely be able to have your wisdom and your guidance with them. You
Yes.
probably hear me scream in the background fussing. So tell me about your passions. What are you passionate about nowadays?
Oh my goodness. I think sometimes it's hard to direct like my passion towards one thing because like so many different things are going on in the world right now. So I think I guess like overall passion is just helping people, making life easier for people. And I think the means of doing that it maybe has changed in my perspective because beforehand I'm like, thinking wherever I kind of work, maybe in a full time workforce, is like kind of how I help people and such like that. And I kind of like maybe identify the company's mission, and then maybe it's like, oh, okay, maybe I could potentially work for a nonprofit and such like that. But now it's like I'm in this trade biz with my dad, and I think sometimes what these nonprofits really need is more like financial help. I think that's kind of the biggest thing as far as I know. And so I think trying to, as I maybe do well in the business, hopefully be able to donate some money to help the support causes that I identify with and know how they're using their resources to help people. So that's kind of how my I guess viewpoint has shifted over the years, I would say.
Wow, and I don't know if it has shifted so much because y'all were helping people as teenagers at the museum. Like,
Yes.
you volunteered your time to interact
Mhm.
and volunteer with guests and kids and teaching and I mean, so wow, it's kinda like manifesting in other ways, and it's just becoming like what's the word? A stamp, kinda becoming like a mantra for you.
Mhm. Yeah, one of the cool things I got to do in graduate school, I know it was like only for one day, but I got to help out the homeless. So there's this organization called Vegan Meals That Heal. Yeah,
Ooh.
so they basically this organization through Georgia Tech is it's called Veggie Jackets. So
Mhm.
they do like volunteer opportunities, several different organizations, and one of them was this Vegan Meals That Heal. And so some of the members of this organization, made some of the food and such. And I was actually on the front lines interacting with the people and telling them, these are some like toiletries, other kind of necessities here. You can kind of take some and all of that. So that was really cool experience to, really get to know people and help out the homeless. That was really
That's
cool.
amazing.
Mhm.
I mean, even though it's one day more than, than what was in the beginning. So that is very awesome. And
Yeah.
speaking of nonprofits, Marvin and I still have Haste, and we still are
Yes.
working on a cohort. The city that we live in is super political, and
Mm.
it's tough, but we are working through it. We're working on a cohort for this fall, and I know your dad still believes in us, and we're still working towards those things and putting together our cohorts of students. And so we'll have a sidebar about that as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are still, I will be meeting up with him this week actually, and
Oh,
seeing
really?
him. And yeah, we want to definitely continue our mission of inspiring students to get into STEM or even be introduced. It's not necessarily that you have to, because you learn so much that you can incorporate in your everyday life. Like if you can do STEM, you can do anything.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
really
yeah, totally.
You really can. So wow, the passion. I mean, Sona, you've always genuinely wanted to help.
Yes, that's who I am.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And so let me ask you this part.
Okay.
You have you've talked about stumbling blocks,
Mhm.
talked about, and which I love, because this is what happens. Not everyone gets it the first time they see it. Not everyone do that. That's not something that it takes you a lot sometimes to grasp. You have to hear
Mhm.
things different ways. You have to see things different ways or experience them sometimes to grasp concepts. So
Mhm.
I want to know what has really contribute to your intrinsic motivation.
I think gosh, that is a tough question, but I think um I think my dad kind of motivating me from the very beginning has really,
Yeah.
really helped. I think a lot of encouragement when you see someone be able to do something and do it well. I think it's important to encourage them because they themselves might not even see it. So I think
Mm,
that's a really key thing to kind of help foster that intrinsic motivation. Sometimes it does come from the external part in terms of encouragement at first, but then as you yourself believe in yourself and believe that you can make a change in the world, that really, really helps your intrinsic motivation for sure. And I think sometimes even if maybe you're not a naturally motivated person, just be able to just at least dip your foot into many, many different things and then figure out what you're passionate about and you're like, yeah, I really enjoy this, then
mhm.
that makes it a lot easier to be motivated towards something too. So
Yes. Wow. Wow. I mean, your dad is a force, your mom is a force. I mean,
yes.
wow. I mean, awesome. And we had a kind of sidebar conversation about schooling.
Mhm.
And I shared with you that, I would love to put my daughter in public school, but homeschool may be an option for me.
Mhm.
And you basically told me that you and you were homeschooled.
Yes. We
So
were. Mhm.
you had the best of you had public and homeschooling. Can you share a little
Yes.
bit?
Yeah, so homeschooling it would be just kind of I guess mainly the three of us. My dad, I guess, was in the office slash we call him the principal upstairs. Um, so yeah, every day we kind of go through our curriculum, and usually I start off the day with like math and then maybe some history or science. I think occasionally we switch things around, and sometimes we wouldn't have like every subject every day based on the curriculum and stuff, but we kind of tended to stick to the kind of consistent schedule in terms of what subjects we did during the day, kind of similar to traditional school. So that was fun. And then we got to kind of take school with us sometimes if we need to go to visit family in Delaware or go to India. And even that in itself, going to like a foreign country is a whole other learning experience too, as I've said also. So and then it was kind of nice because like even when we're traveling, sometimes we would take breaks off of school and we had that flexibility to be able to do that. And then we would still maybe finish a little bit later in the summer sometimes because of our
Mhm,
travels, but at least we had that flexibility, so that part was
mhm.
really, really nice.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, so then I guess going into high school, like going from a school with like two people to 2,700 was a little bit more rocky. Just because I think the types of conversations that were going on, were not stuff I could necessarily relate to. Like I wasn't super crazy about like drama between two people, or I don't know, like makeup, or I don't know, whatever else happened. That kind of those kinds of conversations. Or okay,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
recording resumed. I see it.
So you said 2,700 students.
Mhm.
Yeah, and all of these different conflict, relationship building, all of that.
Yeah, and I guess my expectation was to be able to kind of join a friend group and, kind of make bond with friends that I've seen in the past. Like I played soccer before outside, and I've, went to Girl Scouts and all of that type of stuff. And but then people already kind of had their own groups and like people they knew from middle school and elementary school. So I was kind of a little bit lost in the shuffle.
Mhm.
And then, I ended up joining a friend group and then kind of being let go from that friend group and then joining another friend group. And sometimes, groups kind of, or maybe like where I belong to, groups kind of changed around based on maybe conflict or just like maybe different lunch schedules throughout the years. And so sometimes that was a little bit tough. But I think, as the years went on, I kind of got more used to attending like a brick and mortar school and got to connect with people a little bit more, though I would say the museum was kind of where I really shined, really got to connect with people because I
Yeah.
found there was a lot more diversity there and a lot more common interests with people at the museum. So I think that was kind of like my, I want to say therapy, sort of, but kind of my home, I would say.
Oh my god. Listen, we
Hmm.
we really had relationships. Really.
Yes.
I love the fact that you all, meaning the students, you took it upon yourselves to create your own way of communicating outside of me. You know,
Hmm.
that was amazing to catch up and do lunch and be intentional about spending time
Yeah.
together. So, do
Hmm.
you keep in contact with anyone?
Yes, I keep in touch with Fernando quite a bit.
Oh my goodness, how is he doing?
He's good. He's good. I think he's also kind of into like data type of stuff. So he's been, I think, pursuing some Google certificates and such. Yeah, but he's been doing pretty well.
Yes, oh my goodness. Yes, it was different in the sense that I don't think you would ever meet the students. You would never meet these different types of people if you
Hmm.
weren't part of this unique program.
Yeah, and it's just kind of crazy to hear the stories of people that were attending this program and how much it helped them.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. And see, listen, you had the what is it? You had the academic acumen. You had that side of you. That didn't
Hmm.
you didn't we didn't need to cultivate that.
Hmm.
But what we did cultivate was we cultivated more confidence. We
Yes,
cultivated
absolutely.
or like getting out of your shell and
Hmm.
learning how to communicate and disseminate information to everyone and do it in a way that everybody can understand. And I
Hmm.
think y'all did a great job. I remember talking with your dad and he's like, "How is it going to be more rigorous?" And I was just like, "It's not for you. It's not for you and your brother. But on the flip side, this is what you're going to gain from it."
Hmm.
But you will actually help train others about this information. What I do know is that when you train others, you have to know it yourself.
Yes.
It's like an accountability for you. And so
Mhm.
it was really cool to see how you grew in that way because you
Mhm.
already had the your academics were so strong. You
Mhm.
know, we might have added a little tiny bit to that, but the other side of creating the holistic Sona was
Mhm.
what we worked on.
Yes, for sure. And I definitely grew a lot as a person and felt more confident as a person. And I think I even would credit my experience with you and with the museum and with everybody towards being able to do my other undertakings, like going to China and then ultimately even pursuing graduate school. So
Yes. Did you enjoy graduate school?
I did. I did. it was just so cool to kind of meet different people, and I had some of the most caring professors and such like that too.
Nice.
Sometimes it's there was one time I was just going through like a horrible breakup in graduate school, and I was emailing my
Who
professors
is he? Who is he? I'll get him. I will get him.
Uh, but yeah, I asked the professors and was like, "Hey, listen, I'm kind of going through this like awful situation, and I might need a little more time to complete something." And they even gave me more time than I had asked, and
Nice.
I was just so amazed at that. The culture there was just phenomenal, and I ended up having to need that extra time, so they were right. But that was just so fantastic to have that amount of support, from their
Yeah.
professors there. Awesome.
Because listen, Sona, you show up
Mhm.
and you are committed
Yeah.
and your work speaks for itself. So
Mhm.
say that they knew. You
Mhm.
weren't crying wolf. You were just like, hey, I need to just, and for them, they probably said, this is serious. Let's just give her time.
Yeah. Mhm.
You know? Well, I better not know the person. I'm like, what are you doing hurting my Sona? But
Yeah, he's long gone now though, so
good. He missed out. You missed out, buddy. You missed out. Oh my goodness.
yeah, but it was definitely really, really cool, getting to meet different people and all that jazz. And yeah, Georgia Tech's kind of it's its own kind of place in a sense, but it was also kind of similar to what I experienced at Purdue too, in
Mhm.
the sense of just kind of like cool school spirit and value for academics. And I think the one thing I really, really liked about Georgia Tech in the sense was that they didn't just teach people to be like a good technical person. Like there were computer science majors there that were taught like how they can use their degrees in all kinds of different areas, and they have these different
Yes.
concentrations there for undergrad. So if anyone's interested in CS or undergrad in particular,
Yes.
I recommend Georgia Tech because they have all kinds of resources and I guess different concentrations there where they really teach you not just to be a code monkey, but how to think and how to
What do you call it, Sona? A code
code.
monkey?
I don't know where I heard that term from, but
I love it. I love it. A code monkey. Oh my goodness.
yeah,
Is that like a code monkey is like that's all they do? That's they
yeah.
like eat okay.
It's just a code, and it's just kind of code to death's end, and just kind of that's your role, and it's like you're kind of a robot in a sense.
That's true. That's true. And
Yeah,
you have to be more than that. And life is more than just coding.
yeah. You really have to think about what you're doing. What's the story behind what you're doing?
Mm. Sona,
Yeah.
you are dropping some gems, okay? You have dropped some life lessons,
Yeah.
all of this. Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. And I love the fact that all of you are just manifesting greatness and you're manifesting positivity, which you always have.
Right.
That's what I
Yes.
love about you.
Mhm.
And you're bringing it to light in computer science because, of
Mhm.
course, sometimes in computer science and engineering, you have this one track personality, but we need all different types of personalities. We don't
That's
need that.
true.
We don't need that one
Mhm.
track. We need all these different personalities to make things we need different perspectives to make great things.
Yeah, 100%. Like diversity is so important in STEM.
Yes, it really
100%.
is. Speaking of diversity, how many women was in that master's?
Gosh. I think in terms of the online, I think it's complicated because I was both in the online and on campus types programs.
Mhm.
I finished it started and began no, sorry. Started and finished in the online program. In the middle I was on campus. But I think in terms of gender diversity, at least in the online program, it was about 20% women, I think. But I think it
Mm,
was increasing. In
that's
terms
good.
of the on campus one, I'm not as sure. Um,
Mm,
but yeah, I think it was I think it's growing, and that's how it should be. I'm trying
mhm.
to think a little bit more. I'm trying to recollect on my experience to see um, how. how the women, felt encouraged, or what was there for that. Um,
Mhm.
that I don't know if I recall as much about that per se, that element of it. Um,
But that's okay. That's not what
yeah,
we're here
but
for. For me as an
mhm,
educator in STEM, I like to I like to dive into that to say, how was that for you and
mhm,
how was your experience with that? It's because we're still breaking into these industries.
mhm, yeah, for sure. And I think, like, for me, I when I was at Purdue, people would tell me these stories about, like, oh, like, there was one girl that was called like a Vanna White or something like that, or you know, I guess other experiences I didn't have like so positive because of them being a female in engineering and that kind of thing. And I think for me at first, like I couldn't relate to that as much, which and I guess some part was a good thing because I didn't really face those things at first. Um,
Yeah.
and so, but then I think when I had my first internship at a alternative fuel engine company, I was like the only female there, and
Mm,
I guess well, I shouldn't say only female engineer there at the
mhm.
time, and so sometimes I felt like my voice wasn't taken as seriously. Maybe also because I was an intern, but my voice wasn't taken as seriously as maybe a full time employee. So that could be tough sometimes.
Well, listen,
Mhm.
people can hear what you bring in a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
I always believe in tapping into what you all think
Yes. And it's
because
important.
it's very important,
Mhm.
and sometimes I think people lose that,
Mhm.
especially when they're not in education. They kinda don't understand, and they're just in there. They have their blinders, and I think that's sometimes when they miss things. They miss the opportunity to bring something else in that can make what you're doing even better.
So, like, what do you mean by like having their blinders on? Like, they're just so laser focused in what they're doing that they
Yes.
kind of miss
Mhm.
opportunities, make things. Yeah,
Yep, and
that
they
happens a
they
lot.
they say, "I can't listen to these people. I can't listen to an intern. They don't know anything. They just here to learn." But also you can learn from an intern. You can learn there can be something they don't know your background. They don't know your experiences.
Mhm.
Because you're older doesn't mean that you can't continue to learn. You need to be a lifelong learner. I mean, there could be
Yes.
something that you've noticed and they've overlooked so many times and you've come aboard and so you're looking at it from a fresh pair of eyes where you might notice it and it's right there and everybody else don't because they've been looking at it and they've overlooked it and you haven't because you're coming with a fresh pair of eyes and you say, "Hey, did y'all check this out?" And then someone goes, "Oh my god." But I think sometimes it's the in the industry of engineering, I think what ends up happening is that people don't wanna be wrong. They don't they
Yes.
wanna be experts. They don't wanna say they made a mistake. They don't wanna they wanna be the go-to for everything. You can't be the go-to for
No,
everything.
we can't.
You can't. And that's what's alarming because what you learn in education and what you learn in this field is 2 totally different it's extremes. It's like a
Mhm.
whole totally different world. It's just like,
Yes.
forget what you've learned, forget about sometimes they like, forget about even being nice to people. And you need that element. You need that element of relationship building. You
Mhm.
need that element of listening to different perspectives. You're working on a team. You're here to come to a common goal to make things better. And sometimes, I think that's the ugliness of it. And, sometimes I think about it and I'm always encouraging students to go into STEM and then some of them just get beat down in the industry.
Hmm.
They just get beat down and sometimes they can't handle it. Sometimes they don't have that intrinsicness, that internal motivation to continue go on. They constantly keep getting beat down, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, that's very tough.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of like, what? Yeah, the intrinsic motivation, you know, sometimes people need, like you said, external like push to say you can do it, you can do it. And we're talking about the benefits of going into STEM, but then sometimes when you go into the industries, you hear these stories of just people not supporting, and they're not hearing and listening. And it's good to listen to someone that's excited about coming into field. I always get excited to listen to like new students with these ideas, and I don't want to shut them down. I don't want to douse on their flames. And sometimes I think that happens in the
Mhm.
engineering industry, where it's just like, just get in and put your head down and just code or just do this. And
Yeah, that's
you
that's
know
the hard part about it, and I think that's a nice thing about maybe eventually being able to kind of work on your own and, um,
mhm.
yeah, is not having to, I guess, answer to other people, but it could also at the same time being able to work for yourself is also very scary because you're kind of the one holding up the success of, whatever you're working on, your business. And so that in
Mhm.
itself can be, it's empowering, but you also have to know enough what you're doing and have a good business plan and everything. So that's like kind of the thing for that. I guess in terms of being baked down and working for somebody else, that can be tough. But I think also when you're feeling discouraged, I think it's important to be vulnerable to other people and really be able to seek out those conversations and be honest with your manager and come up with a plan to help figure that out with them and how they can help support you and how you can help support them. And even I faced that struggle during my masters because there was a time when I just started the project, and at first I was like, thinking that I just had to, learn about how the software worked and stuff, and then all of a sudden I was kind of like called up upon to help deploy our AI assistant.
Mhm.
And basically, what our AI assistant did was help answer questions that the TAs maybe be kind of too busy to handle, and they're like rather like mundane questions, such you can find the syllabus or other course pages, stuff like that. And so I was called upon to like live deploy this AI assistant, and I wasn't ready. And that was a little bit intimidating, So,
Mhm.
but I think being able to have an honest conversation with that person was very, very helpful.
Wow, Sona, you're
Hmm.
right. You're so full of wisdom. I love
Hmm.
it. And see, just by our conversations, it's just little nuggets that just remind you, like, yes, this we have to keep, and we have to be reminded to think about these things.
Yes.
Yeah. And you got the intern for a reason, right? You got for a reason. Um, you're so right. It's very important to get different perspectives and to listen and to be honest, and then come with solutions, come with possible solutions. And that's so true. We have
Hmm.
to think of ways that we can solve and say, look, let me propose a solution to this problem instead of just griping. And that kind of sets people apart too, because the solution focused people are always they're gonna always win, because they're gonna find a solution out of what's happening, out of the
Hmm.
problem. There's always going to be going towards the solution to make things better. And
Yeah.
the second thing is you are becoming an entrepreneur, which is very amazing.
Yeah. I think my goal. I love Shark Tank,
Yes.
so maybe an eventual goal would be to become a shark.
I would love that. I would be on there like, look at Sona, have my popcorn ready.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, nice. And I know that you're getting some really good advice from your dad too.
Yeah. He's my role model too.
I love it. I love it. Okay. Like he has poured, I mean, your parents are getting back what they've put in
Hmm.
with you, and definitely your brother. It's just I'm just so glad that I'm here to witness and just be a part of your lives and be part of these great conversations, you know?
Well, you're more than just a witness, but yes, I understand what you're saying.
No, I wasn't just a witness, not at all. But now I'm just standing by on standby just to, when you tell me something, I'm definitely going to be your cheerleader and say, keep going and do it because you can do anything when you put your mind and your efforts behind it.
Yeah,
And
for
you
sure.
got it. Like you got it. And that's what's fantastic about you, Sona.
Well,
Now
thank
let's
you.
see. Let's see. Okay. So what are you looking forward to in the future?
I guess more traveling. So this might sound a bit, I don't know about dorky is the right word, but I know you're
No,
gonna judge me anyway. So,
not at all.
but I watched this series called, I think it was, oh, now I forgot the name of the series. I think it was called it was the one with about Meep Geese and how she hid the Frank family.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was like a starring light, something. But it was this series, and then I also saw The Fault in Our Stars, and that featured also the Anne Frank annex. I'm like, this is a sign. I should go visit Amsterdam and see
You
this.
should.
So that was one of the things I'm looking forward to in the future. Definitely more travel. I also want to go to parts of the Southwest of the United States because, I've been to over 10 countries, maybe 13. I want if I could just guess a number, but I also think maybe I should explore a little more of my own country where I live because I live here. And but but yeah, I definitely want to see like a part of history that maybe isn't as talked about, like Native American culture and such, because they talk about okay how we all moved over and we took over, but we don't really learn a lot about their history.
Mm-mm.
So I think that would be really cool to do.
I
And
think you're right.
yeah, so I think that's another thing I want to do. Other than that, like look forward to being like successful in the work that I'm doing now, and hopefully be able to use that to give back too. So I think that would be really exciting.
Yes, that would be
And
fantastic.
yeah, I'm trying to think what else, but yeah, I
Yeah.
think those are the two main things: more travel and more work type stuff too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In grad school, I was actually teaching too. I was a teacher, but I did summer grad school out in Arizona. And it was my first time actually having a relationship with like a friendship with a Native American Navajo. And
Mm.
I got deep down. I was like, okay, so tell me about this. And I'm just curious. And he was just very, very open about
Mhm.
his culture, about the language, about
Yeah.
customs, about
Mhm.
food, about all of these really cool things. And then also in that area, there was an influx of Pima Indians. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, Southwest is very unique. And I'm with you. Sometimes I'll rather venture out in the world versus in the United States. It's just
Yeah.
something about going to a different country and learning, like, it's just different. It's a
Yeah.
different system, it's a different way that they communicate sometimes and travel, their systems of travel, their systems of doing business.
Mhm.
I think that's intriguing in the culture. I think that's what's really intriguing.
Yeah, for sure. It is quite intriguing. I think in terms of cultures in different countries, sometimes that could even cause conflict. Is you're especially working for like an international company like I was.
Mhm.
So like in China, I think at least my company in general kind of kept a typical schedule, but some of the I guess more traditional Chinese companies would be working like very, very long hours, maybe 12-hour days, maybe weekends, maybe no
Mm,
overtime type pay either, as far as of what I've heard. But like my company kind of sometimes critiqued, I think the British office because I think they took like in Europe they have a lot of holidays, so
They do.
and the I guess the attitude is different. Like in China, people tend to communicate more indirectly, and I think in even parts of the U.S. too, and especially I think in Britain, people are more direct. So was kind of witness to a conflict in the office one time when like my Chinese coworker was saying, "Okay, we'll get stuff done as soon as possible," and like the I guess the British employee who was based in our China office was like kind of wanting more exact deadlines and such. So that's always interesting to see and also kind of tough because I always kind of wish that maybe the two of them had more kind of intercultural understanding. But mhm.
That is true, like, the way that you talk, you're right. I feel like the Midwest is more, passive aggressive in how they speak, and the East Coast is more, like, blunt, direct, and even the South
Oh
is more
yeah.
blunt and direct, and so sometimes
Hmm.
when I first came to the Midwest, I go, "What? I'm not understanding. What are you actually saying?" Even here, it was different, the way people communicate in the Midwest versus the South and the East Coast. I'm kinda used to that directness, and I was just like, "I'm confused. What are we saying now?" And, sometimes people were talking a roundabout way in the Midwest. So I don't know if it was just like, let's just see if we could be kind about these words. But sometimes on the East Coast and the South, we kind of just say what we need to say. And then we just like, okay, let's get it done.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think for me, like living both in the Midwest and the South in my kind of US living life, I guess you would say,
Hmm.
it's been like a lot of like hospitality but now when I have to go up to the Northeast, it's like, oh, I feel like these people like swear so much more and are more obnoxious. I'm like, how do people why? I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know. It's like just interesting because I think in a country just as big as ours, it's just so many different cultures in of itself in its own
Yeah.
country. Um, so that's always interesting to see how that plays out. Like, yeah, it's just
You're right, and sometimes it might vary from state to state, it
mhm.
might vary, so it's a lot of, like, and you wouldn't know unless you traveled, like, if you traveled to this, so the Southwest should be interesting. I'm gonna be
Mhm.
curious to see what you take in. I have not seen the Grand Canyons yet, so I
Neither have
definitely
I.
yeah, I definitely want to do that. Although I was in the state of Arizona, that was one thing that I was really kind of bummed about not seeing. So I'm gonna have to get over there to see the Grand Canyon.
Okay, I have like a really interesting question. Speaking of
Yeah.
Arizona, um, so I went to the Hoover Dam and I crossed the Nevada Arizona border. So does it count that I've been to Arizona?
I have a sense that you did. Did you go over that big old sky thing? You walked over that?
I think yeah, the sky thing. Yeah, I think so.
Oh my god, I'm so afraid of heights. I even when I was crossing the Hoover Dam, I was like, "Am I gonna die?"
Either that, or maybe it was over the Hoover Dam. Was the sky thing more of like an arch over the?
Yeah,
Maybe I
you
didn't walk that, but there was some kind of border I walked over.
you did. It
Okay, then
crossed
I did
over.
walk
I
that.
think you were because you did both states. You sure
Yeah, I
did.
did both states. Yeah,
Yes. That's a really cool thing to see, the Hoover Dam.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
cool. We were debating between that and the Grand Canyon because we were based. Well, for our winter trip, we ended up being in Vegas, and so we were debating between those two things. And Hoover Dam was closer, and it was like it
Yeah.
would have been 4 hours drive, and maybe we won't be able to enjoy it for a few hours and have to drive back. So I think Hoover Dam was a better choice for the day, but definitely Grand Canyon would be something I want to see. So, and now I
Yeah.
have a friend that lives in Phoenix, so more incentive to go out to Arizona.
And Phoenix has really good food. They have
Ooh,
really good food. So, I think you would enjoy it, and then try to pop out to a spa or something and get you some self-care. They have really
oh,
good spas out there.
oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember one time I went to well, it was actually a spa at a hotel,
Oh,
and that
yeah.
was an interesting experience because um, I was connecting in Athens, and then I went to Mykonos, and I was like,
Mm.
in Greece, I think I was hearing just to be careful, like even abroad in general, just kind of be careful about your money and stuff like that. So I just so happened to check my bank account, and I was laying there, and I'm like, I saw this weird charge, and I was like, "What the heck is this?" And then I looked through. I luckily saved my receipts from this spa thing that I had at this hotel, and I saw they way undercharged me. They, instead of charging me 44 euros, they charged me 0.44 euros by mistake.
Oh
And
my god.
and so fortunately, they gave me like the way to transfer it like electronically, but fortunately, I was going back through the Athens airport and the hotel was right outside the airport in Athens. And I was flying back to Athens to explore Athens, and I got back to the I ran back to the hotel, and I'm like went up this elevator and got that fixed. And they felt
Oh
so
my
bad. They gave me a
goodness,
bunch of
Sona, that's so honest. I love it. Integrity.
yes.
The things you do when no one is looking.
Yeah, so that was like a bit. Every time you travel, you have some kind of like random hiccup or something like that, and you know. And I was like, a lesson to save your receipts too. Like,
Yes, it is very important, and I'm be honest with you, Sona, I've had some really good massages outside of the country.
yeah, I
Yeah,
heard the ones in India were really good. And the amount of times
wow.
I've been there, I think I've been 6 times now.
I
Yeah.
wanna go. Next time, y'all need to take me.
All right.
Y'all need to take me. I need to go with y'all. Like, I wanna go. I wanna eat, and I wanna just soak it up.
yes, yes.
Yes. Do you wear your saris when you're there?
Um, I think in every day, not really, but when I go to a wedding, it's like a fashion show. And I went to one this past, gosh, I think it was February. This past February, I was in Jaipur for a
Oh my
wedding.
goodness.
And my cousin just so happened to live there too. So she was like kind of the fashion designer for me for this wedding, basically. And
Nice.
yeah, and so yeah, a bunch of outfits now from that wedding. I have to show you maybe a few pictures of me from that wedding. And
Yes.
yeah,
Did you get henna?
I did
Nice. Oh my god, I would've went crazy. I would've like, "Do this, do this." Oh my god. What colors did you wear?
all kinds of different colors. So let me see. I think the first day was like more kind of pink, and I think I also wore like a blue shiny lenga. Second day was I'm trying to oh gosh, I remember the second day. Maybe a little more orange and white. And then the third
I know you
day
look good in
was
orange.
yeah, orange is my favorite
Wow.
color.
Oh, I'm starting to really fall in love with orange.
Yeah, it's a good like fall color too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. An Indian wedding is a production,
It is.
and I love it because I watch, I think there's one on Netflix, a documentary. They're like, a series where they chronicle the big day. I think it's called, like, The Big Wedding Day or something,
I've heard
and
of
they're
that, yes.
yeah, it's chronicling Indian weddings, and I'm, like, here for it. And my other guilty pleasure is Indian matchmaking with Auntie Seema.
Oh, I've seen
I
a few
love
of
when she
those.
goes, "I'm Auntie Seema from Mumbai." I love
Mhm.
it. I was like, "I gotta do a tagline like that."
I'm Tia Mitchell from Chicago, and I
Yeah,
yeah, you should do one kind of like in that style, but for like
yeah,
educating and
yes,
inspiring young teens.
yes, I love it. So I I love I just like to see, like, the weddings are just they're fascinating and so fun,
The
and
show.
oh god, yeah, it's like a whole I know it's like a whole week or so. It's 3 days, right? 3
I think
maybe?
it's yeah, the wedding itself I think is like 3 days. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really awesome celebration, and
Mhm.
it's good to see I mean, I just love it. So I'm just, like, all glued in, and I'm waiting for the next series, but that's, like, my guilty pleasure, and I'll binge watch that, like, I'll make sure that I have enough time that I can binge watch it on a weekend or something. Um,
Oh.
I gotta binge watch it, but, yeah, I love that. So, oh my goodness, Sona, It's so good to catch up with you. I could talk to you for hours and hours. And one thing I do know is that you are a math queen. Uh,
Thank you.
your dad was so right about that.
Woo! Go dad.
You are a math queen. You are just a pleasure and a joy to be around. Your heart is so golden and just honest and full of love to give. You're still that Sona with this intrinsic motivation to just do greatness in the world. You have not changed. You've just improved and gotten better.
Oh, thank you.
And one thing that I do know is that I just hope that for years to come that I'm still in your life. I want to show up at the weddings. I'm
Yeah.
getting by the time, you need to tell me what color sorry I need to get and all. I want to be there, and don't forget, tell your brother too, like, he may not. I'm pretty sure he'll know, like, I'm gonna be involved in these things, like, we're coming, like, um, if not, we'll probably wear some, Ghanaian attire, me, Naima, and
Ooh.
Charlie. If we don't get our saris, we'll have our matching outfits for the wedding.
Ah, already inviting yourself. No, you're invited anyway, but yeah.
Yes, yes, so I'm just looking forward to I'm looking forward to what's next with you. And that's within the year or so. So I mean, few years, I'm just here to constantly be your cheerleader, and I'm just thankful that you keep me abreast with what's happening in your life.
Oh, yay. And I'm so excited to hear your updates too. And I hope everything's going well with your work and with the new baby. And
Yes. And Haste is still going and we're still building our cohorts. I can't wait to show your dad what we actually, it's been a work in progress, a little bit of politics involved
hmm.
with the city, but we're overcoming and we've had a few stumbling blocks, but
Hmm.
we are still progressing because we're still on that mission to um, help students get involved in STEM, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been wanting to ask too, like, was your work in Singapore related to haste in terms of like the, I guess, similar education type thing, or a
It
little bit
was
different?
it wasn't. It was related to there was a data I curated a data science competition for the high school, not high school, but university students, and so
Oh,
there was a
cool.
data competition and, data storytelling and AI.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it was like a comprehensive it wasn't like a hackathon, although there was a live coding challenge, but it was like
Ooh.
talking about your journey of your project from start to finish. There was an oral presentation and then another presentation where judges came around to talk to them about their projects. And so it was more of that base. And it's just really interesting to kind of be in the data science realm for a
Mm-hmm.
while, kind of understand how they work in that. And also, it's an extension of me being a STEM educator. Some
Yeah.
things that I do like, there are some things that I would love to see that has improved, um, that improves for future students to get involved.
Yeah,
We can
absolutely.
have more of a diversity, diverse.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about diversity, but I don't think that they're really incorporating that just yet. And I would like to see tech to do a little better job with it, you know?
Like in Singapore, the
Not not in Singapore, but just like
or just in general.
in US, yeah. And
Hmm.
Singapore is a hodgepodge of a lot of cultures, which is amazing.
Yeah.
That was interesting to witness and understand, and the respect of everybody's culture was very evident there. I love to see that. And I was
Hmm.
like, they're just respecting each other's culture. Like, we had Indians and there was Chinese descendants, there were Malaysians, there
Hmm.
were so many different I think there's four primary cultures that are in Singapore, but they're very tolerable of each other and
Mhm.
they live peacefully. And what I like to hear was when we were even doing the catering, they were like, "You need to make sure that this is halal. If it's not halal, don't cater this. Like,
Mm.
be halal." And I'm like, yeah. And then there are people that are vegetarian and there are people that are vegan. And so you remember I got crazy about that. I'm like, no,
Yes, you did.
they're vegan. You better what? I'm upset about this. And then I'm like, okay, we need to do something about it. But yeah, I really enjoyed seeing that. And so no, they don't have that problem. They don't have that problem in Singapore, but in the US, I would like to see that a little bit more.
I think it's definitely improved over the past 10 years.
Yes, yes, and then hopefully the next 10 years, we can see it manifest even more.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. There was someone I was talking to who's from Japan. I think he told me that I think this was back in 2016. So maybe now, like maybe 10, 15 years from now, like maybe like meat would be replaced by lab produced meat. I don't know how true that is, but that'd be interesting to see.
You know what's so crazy, Sona, about that? I taught a 7th grade cohort, and that was back in early 2000s,
Mhm.
and we did an article about that, and I said, "What do you think about if this meat would be produced in the lab? Cultured meat."
Mhm.
I talked about that, and there was articles about it in the early 2000s, and we had this
Mm.
whole thing about generating meats in the lab, and
Right.
I think we're on that trajectory, which is gonna be kinda crazy.
Yeah, I think we're on that trajectory too.
Mhm, mhm, yes, for sure. So, it's just crazy, and I'm starting to hear about it more, but I remember teaching my 7th grade students that in class, and we had this because we were talking about, genetically modified things and
Mm,
what does GMO mean, and, you know, when should we how should we think? How should we think about our everyday lives and how technology is in our everyday lives, and not only just computers, but what we're eating too, like that
yeah.
part can be considered, technology, biotechnology.
Yeah, I think everything now is just gonna be touched by technology.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. So that's interesting. Hopefully I can talk with some of my former 7th grade students and ask, did you remember we did that lesson? Were you listening or were you passing notes? So yeah, that was interesting. I remember doing a lesson on that, and that got a lot of interest from the students because they were just like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to eat that. And I'm like, it's coming. And I told them, I was like, it's coming though. And they're like, no, yeah,
Mhm.
it's coming. It's coming, people. So I think that is a trajectory for sure.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be a big debate on like the health benefits of one versus the other, but then of course it's like, not having to kill an animal is also very nice. So
Yes, because you are Jane. So
yes.
that is very important, right?
Mhm.
That is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many things to consider. It's
Mhm.
so many things to consider. And of course, the choice is going to be up to the person,
Yeah.
and, they'll have to choose what they think is best for them.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't like the mentality of like people being like, "Oh, if you're not vegan, then you're not doing well for the world or whatever that is."
Yeah.
I think people, even if they can't become 100% vegetarian or vegan, but they're just trying to do their best, then that should be, you know, I think appreciated. I think,
Mhm.
but I guess I should clarify. I guess in the sense of like, if it's your religion and that's what you should be following, then honor that. But if it's like, someone who's maybe not from that not really been before educated on veganism, vegetarianism, and they want to try it and they can't be 100%, and that's okay. Like, don't like push yourself to a point of you like feeling like sick or unhealthy or whatever to meet those criteria. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you on
Mhm.
that. And also, there is something called access, right? Like, in Chicago, there are food deserts. So sometimes it is hard for people to get to great grocery stores with good produce. And not only that, produce is kind of really pricey. And, just as I'm making baby food and I do like to shop at Whole Foods because, I do see the difference in the quality of the
Mhm.
produce. And then I do scope out certain grocery stores that have great produce. Sometimes people don't have that time ability. And then sometimes the costs of the vegetables are kind of pricey. You're talking about $3.99 for a bell pepper. And you're just like, why is it $3.99?
Right.
So sometimes the cost too can knock someone out of being a vegan. But then, there's other ways too, like there's so many intricacies when we're talking about this, and I don't wanna knock someone for eating meat versus not, like you said. It's just,
Mhm.
you have to do what works best for you and what you feel, because ultimately you have to live your own life.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the points of like when they had this vegan meals at Heal. The person who was leading this, I guess it was like an organization or sorts. Like she herself was homeless for a number of years, and yeah, so she said like maybe these people they want to be vegan and such, but that's so expensive. And
Yeah.
so, like, for her, being able to get out of that situation and then start this organization and be able to, feed vegan food was really kind of fulfilling. And I think it was an excellent day to be a part of.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's fantastic. Oh my god, that's fantastic. And then just to provide such good veggies,
Mhm.
and food is medicine.
Uh-huh. Yes,
And, what you eat really does matter. It
it
matters to
does.
health, and it provides fuel for the body.
Mhm.
Important. So food is a big thing.
Yeah, true. Like my sometimes like body, like after having a nice, like quality, good salad, just feels so cleansed and refreshed.
Yes, and then sometimes that's all I want, like, for
Mhm.
dinner. I'm like, but
Yeah.
my husband's like, "No, that's not enough food." So I'll have the salad, like, and I don't have to have meat. I'm just like, I'm perfectly happy with salad, or I'm perfectly happy with vegetables. Sometimes I'll just do, like, vegetables, and I'm fine, and it feels good, like you said.
Yeah.
I feel good. I can go to sleep and have a good night's rest and get this body restored for the next day.
Yeah, true. Although maybe I would douse a little feta cheese on my salad. That doesn't hurt.
Yes! Oh my god, I make a really good, olive oil dressing, and I put feta cheese in it.
Now I gotta come to Chicago and
Yeah.
see this.
I put, and I love a good Greek salad.
Mhm.
It's something about olives and feta. It's
Yep.
like,
Happy marriage made in heaven.
yes, I'm just like, "Oh god, olives, feta, I just love it." So, I'm just addicted to Greek salads too. I love them, they're so delicious, and I think the combination of the salty and with the cheese, oh god, from the olives and the feta, fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good combo.
Now I'm like, "I need a Greek salad." I think I have all of the things for a Greek salad, actually.
And making you hungry talking about food.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I think I have everything, and I do have a cucumber, so I think I might do that for dinner. That might be
Ooh,
the best thing.
sounds
That's
like
my
a
favorite go-to salad to do is a Greek salad.
Yeah, Greek salads are awesome. I think I first got hooked on it through Panera, and then when I actually went to Greece,
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't I'm like I'm not done with Greek food. I even had like Thomas in Switzerland, and then when I came back to Atlanta, like a few days to make Greek salad for myself.
Yes. Oh my god, it's so addictive. Oh my
Yeah,
god, it's so addictive. I'm addicted to a lot of good stuff like that. Like you said, it's fantastic.
yeah,
Nona, I know I can't keep you because I know you have another appointment coming up. I know you told me about your time. We can go on and on and on, and I think that's the beauty of you and I. We just always pick up where we left off.
yeah.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, we've I've been in your life for almost 11 years, it seems, or
Yeah, I think 10, 11 years. Yeah.
10 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that.
Yes, I'm so glad we were able to keep in touch and everything.
I am so proud of that. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, just having you and being able to get to know you. It's like, like I said, I learned from you guys as well. And it's just been such a blessing to be able to be in your life.
Oh, oh, yeah, I'm so happy that you're so part of my life and that, we're able to keep in touch and everything. It's just wonderful.
Yep. And so this is my conclusion, math queen. And like I said, giver of joy, um, very want to do well in the world and good. And listen, we know conflicts happen, but we have to be solution focused. And
Yeah, we do.
I get that
Mhm.
from Sona. Sona reiterate that, which is good, especially your generation too.
Yeah.
Um, Sona, any lasting words?
I guess, like, in terms of the last point you made, I think I have a lot of hope for, my generation and everything like that. 'Cause I think we're very much like not wanting so much conflict, more resolution focused. So I think that's a good promise. But yeah, I just think like final words is again just be persistent and uh, yeah, I guess find your passion about, be persistent, and then also just whenever you encounter conflict, don't try to like go the other way. Just try to resolve it and
That
talk through things because you never know whose perspectives you're going to um, you kind of incorporate into your life and give you more insight too in the face of conflict also, and
I
also make the world more harmonious that way too in your life. So
that is so true. I totally agree. And with that, I'm gonna say it's been such a pleasure, Sona, and we'll do some extra catch up. Hopefully, when I get down to NC, I'm gonna be able to meet your grandmother and catch up with your parents and
yes.
be fun times. And this is not a goodbye, but it's a see you later.
Mhm.
Say this concludes our catching up with Sona for this particular episode. And just chime in, tell us what you think, any questions you may have, or any takeaways that you took from our conversation. So goodbye for now.
Bye everyone who's ever watching, I guess.